Hello students, good morning. Welcome to our e-learning class. Students, today in this video we are going to read some of the topics which are very important from chapter 1, that is Indian economy on the eve of independence, from the book Indian Economic Development. So first chapter from Indian Economic Development, chapter name is Indian Economy on the Eve of Independence, and from this chapter the following topics we are going to cover. The topics are conditions of industrial sector under British rule, conditions of foreign trade under the British rule, economic policies under the British rule, drain of wealth by the British in India, demographic profile during British rule. So these are the topics which we are going to cover today. Very interesting. So students, I appeal to all of you, do watch the video carefully and listen to my lecture. Okay, now let us start. Students, just like in the case of agriculture, in manufacturing sector also, just like in the case of agriculture, which is backward, which was stagnant during British rule in India, so the another sector, the manufacturing sector also could not make any mark or could not develop a sound industrial base in India under British rule. Neither agriculture was good, nor we are able to establish a sound industrial base in India, that is the manufacturing sector during British rule. That means the manufacturing sector also have not took deep roots in India during British rule. Why? Because the British people have not paid much attention towards the growth and development of manufacturing sector or industrial sector in our country India. Okay, though India had the world famous handicrafts, and I can say India is known for its handicrafts, their quality and the skill. But what happened, that impression of India's in the international market also decreased. Moreover, we are unable to establish a strong industrial base. The value, the impression of handicraft industries in India has declined. And once upon a time, the handicraft industries had a pride place in India as well as in the international market. Our handicrafts are known in the world. Their market was very good. But it was during British rule, due to British policies, the handicraft industries was degenerated, decreased, reduced, and moreover we were unable to establish a strong industrial base. Now, the reason behind this is what? The British economic policies. The British economic policies are the main reason or main cause for that systematic deindustrialization. Systematically deindustrialization of Indian handicraft industries, and also we are unable to establish a strong industrial base. So what are the reasons? Number one, discriminatory tariff policy, which was implemented by the British rule in India. Second one, disappearance of princely states, second reason. Third one, competition from machine made products from the Britain. Fourth one, new patterns of demand. Fifth one, introduction of the modern means of transport, railways in India. So all these are responsible for the degeneration or losing the importance of Indian handicraft industry, and also we are unable to develop a strong industrial base in our country India. Students, now our country, with the economic policies that were implemented by Britishers in India, our country became a mere supplier of raw materials to their British machines or Britain factories. they made our country as a mere supplier of raw materials and primary products, or I can say raw materials as well as we are supplying the other primary goods. And also at the same time they made India as a fresh investment for their market goods, or they want fresh field of investment, and they found India is the best for that one fresh field of investment. And also they made India as a market for their machine made goods. So they made India, or I can say India turned as a mere supplier of raw materials and a market for the British machine made goods, okay, with their discriminative tariff policy. However, during the second half of 19th century, second half of 19th century means 1850 onwards, during the second half of 19th century, modern industries, or I guess a modern industry began to take its root in India, but its progress was very slow. Though modern industry was started in 1850 onwards in India, but its growth, okay, or progress remained very slow. Initially, the development was confined only setting up of cotton textile industry and jute textile industry. So the first industry which was started in India was cotton textile industry, and the second one was jute textile industry. Cotton textile industry was started first in, that is, Mumbai. Similarly, jute textile, Risra in West Bengal, okay, and the cotton textile mills mainly dominated by the Indians were located in the western parts of the country. Western part means what? Gujarat and Maharashtra, or at that time Bombay. Next one, jute mills are concentrated in the eastern part of India, West Bengal, Bangladesh, Assam, etc. Now, at the same time, during 20th century, Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, TISCO was started in their 1907 by Jamshedji Tata, a Parsi industrialist. A Parsi industrialist who made money during what? Who made money during the trade with China, opium trade with China during British rule, and he accumulated some wealth, and with that wealth he started the modern iron and steel industry at Jamshedpur in 1907, that is in 20th century. He is a Parsi person. A few other industries also started like sugar industry, cement, paper industry, etc. Okay, and all these industries came in India after World War II, that is 1945. Now, however, there are hardly any capital good industries. Very less capital good industries were there at the time in India. Now, what are capital good industries? Capital good industries are those industries which which can produce those machines and tools, okay, which in turn needed by other industry, or I can say capital good industries are those industries which helps in the production of other industries, or which helps in production of those goods which help in the process of other industry. I repeat, capital good industries means industries which can produce machines, tools which are in turn used for producing articles for current consumption. Okay, so very less number of capital good industries were there. Similarly, the growth rate of new industrial sector and the contribution of GDP remained very small. At the time the contribution of industrial sector in the GDP was very low. GDP, gross domestic product. Okay, next one. Another significant drawbacks of the new industrial sector was the very limited area of operation of public sector. At the time very less number of industries are there which are operated by public sector, means what? Under the control of government. This sector remained confined only to the railways. Today also railways was in public sector. Okay, power generation, communications, but today communication was some share was given to private sector. Only railway and defense are purely under what? Public sector. Remaining it was the merger of both public and private sector. Okay, similarly ports, seaports and some other departmental undertakings were under what? Public sector. Remaining were confined to private sector, or mixture of both public and private sector. Now for second topic, conditions of foreign trade under British rule. So what was the conditions of foreign trade under British rule? Listen students, due to discriminatory tariff policy adopted by the British government, due to discriminatory tariff policy was adopted by the British government, India became a net exporter of raw materials and primary goods to the Britain or foreign countries. Next one, on the other hand, it became the net importer of finished goods or machine made goods which are reproduced by the British industry. I mean, we became the supplier of raw materials and that primary products, and we imported the machine made goods from the Britain in our Indian market. Okay, next, which affected our local industries. Hence, local producers, manufacturers, they shut down their industries. Next one, composition of exports and imports. Composition of exports and imports showed the backwardness of Indian economy. Our composition of exports imports, it indicates the backwardness of Indian economy. Exports and imports were largely restricted only to Britain at the time because Britain had a monopoly over trade in India. That means most of our Indian exports are destined to what? Britain and other Commonwealth countries. Since Britain had its colonial control over India, they have not allowed India to export our goods to any other country. Next one. Similarly, surplus profit. I mean, British government, due to discriminatory tariff policy, due to their economic policies, they made lot of surplus profit. Okay, and the surplus profit made and account of foreign trade during British rule was distributed, and the surplus profit was distributed on administration and as well as on the war expenses. British people are very clever. Whatever money they made through this trade, that money, that surplus money, they spent on what? Administration and war expenses. It was only used to increase the pursuits of the British government. I mean, that surplus money was used for the benefits of, for the promotion of, for the interest of British government, not the Indian government or our country India. Now, economic policies under the British rule. So, what are the economic policies that were undertaken under British rule? Listen carefully, students. The following are the twofold motives. There are two important motives behind the systematic deindustrialization which was adopted by the British government in our country India. Number one, making India a mere supplier of raw materials. The main motive of the British government was to make India a mere supplier of cheap raw materials, because in India at the time cheap raw materials were available and abundantly they are available. So they want to make India a mere supplier of raw material and primary products. Okay, at the same time, so that our India can feed the growing demands of the machines and factories in Britain. I mean, they want to take the raw materials from India for their flourishing industrial base, in Britain or England. Next point, making India a market for finished goods. I mean, they found that India is the best place for selling their goods, because already in European countries, Britain market was saturated. Every country is producing their own goods. They stopped importing goods from Britain. Now India wants fresh markets. Britain wants fresh markets. So they found India as a fresh field for their markets. So making India a market for finished goods. Another important object of the British government was to use India as a virgin, new market to sell the finished goods produced by the British industries. Now industrialization. Industrialization means what? Establishing more and more industries or rapid growth of industries. See, industrialization. No industrialization or no industrial establishments was there in India during British rule. They have not established any industries. Similarly, low GDP in industrial sector. The contribution of industries in the GDP was very less. Next, infrastructure. Transport and communication. So infrastructure, they developed but their own purpose, due to they fulfill their selfish interest. That is what? Top mobilized army. To mobilize their army from one place to another, they introduced railways and to take the goods from hinterlands to the ports. Okay, and to and fro. Infrastructure needed for what? To and fro. Okay, to and fro, transport goods to the nearby ports from the hinterlands, from the interior parts of the country. So for all their interest, their purpose, they introduced all these things. Next one, Drain of wealth. What is meant by drain of wealth? That means plundering, taking away India's natural resources, mineral wealth, okay, mineral wealth, natural resources, etc. from our country to England or Britain is called drain. It is called economic drain. One book was written by Dadabhai Naoroji, the grand old man of India. Dadabhai Naoroji wrote one book that is called Plunder of Economic Wealth. In that book, he mentioned how India's wealth, how India's natural resources, okay, mineral wealth, everything was drained by the Britishers through their discriminatory economic policies. So, drain of wealth. Who wrote this book? Dadabhai Naoroji. The sole motive of Britain to conquer India was to own a perennial source of cheap raw materials. Why Britishers came to India? Did they love India? Did they love Indian people? Okay, no. They conquered India, and after conquering, they established the rule in India. They stayed in India for a longer period because their sole interest is what? To plunder the natural resources and took to their mother country through ships. So the sole motive of the Britain to conquer India was to have continuous, perennial means what? Continuous without, stopping. Perennial flow of cheap raw materials from India to Britain, so that they can feed their own industries or industrial base in Britain. Further, Britain government used India's manpower. During British rule, the British government took Indians as manpower. They took to Sri Lanka, they took to Fiji country, they took to some other countries. They utilized Indians as manpower in their industries. Generally, they used the African Negroes in their factories, but they took Indians also as a labor force who are called indentured labor. They are called indentured labor. Next one. Okay, they used India's manpower to spread its colonial base outside India. Fiji, Sri Lanka, and many other parts they have taken. In South Africa, Fiji, and Sri Lanka are the three places where they took Indian manpower and they utilized it for their purpose. Okay, means that the economic policies of the British in India were primarily motivated to snatch maximum benefits of Indian trade. They snatched away all our Indian trade. Okay, next one. The surplus, profits used to make payments, okay, for the expenses incurred by the office set up by the colonial government of Britain. I told whatever surplus profits were made by them, they were utilized for what? Administrative purpose and also war expenses. Next one. The surplus was used to pay expense on war and expense of war fought by the British government. Next one. Surplus was used to pay for the import of visible items. Next one. Coming to next one. Demographic profile during British rule. Here demographic indicates anything that is relevant to population. Anything that is relevant to population is called demographic. So what I want to say here, during British rule there was high birth rate and high death rate. High birth rate and high death rate was there during British rule India. High birth rate and high death rate was there during British rule India. That means the survival rate was very less. And the rate was nearly 218 per thousand per annum. 218 per thousand per annum. Next one. Life expectancy. That means how long on an average a man can live, survive. That is called, life expectancy. One more word is there, I am not getting right now. Life expectancy. So life expectancy was also very low, around 32 years, which shows the lack of healthcare facilities, lack of awareness of medical facilities, as well as lack of means for healthcare. So life expectancy was very less under their rule. Birth rate was very high, death rate was very high, fertility rate was, the survival rate was very low. Next one, literacy rate. Literacy rate also very less in India at the time. Okay, the literacy rate was very low, as 16% only, 16%, which reflects the social and economic backwardness of our country, India. So here literacy rate, birth rate, death rate, life expectancy, all will come under what? The demographic profile of India during British rule. So which shows, not in a good state. So students, this is the end of our today's topics. We will come up with some more topics in the next video. Till then, take care.